A doctor was savagely murdered in her Bonita Springs, Florida home in the summer of 2015. Her husband had an airtight alibi, so police turned to technology to track down the killers. Erin Moriarty reports for this week's 48 Hours. Here's a preview.
When you first started on this case, would you have ever imagined it would end up to where it is right now?
No. When I got into work that day, we were getting word that this 46-year-old doctor was dead. This beloved woman in our community had been brutally killed inside her own house. And then once you started to unwrap it a little bit, it was nutty, it was weird, and it was hard to keep track of it all. So this is Dr. Teresa Sievers, high-profile doctor, did a lot of holistic medicine, and people, said that she was just a little spitfire, just a short little thing, and always wearing, 4-inch heels, clacking around.
I would describe her as radiant, almost. She had a column that appeared in my newspaper, and she was on the front of local magazines.
Ladies, remember when walking into a room meant turning heads?
She was telegenic, energetic, she's funny.
And who's this?
Teresa and Mark at a gala.
Mark and Teresa have been a couple since 2003 when they got married in a beachside ceremony in St. Petersburg. She was sort of the breadwinner, and he was the office manager at her practice, and he helped raise the kids. They had a trip planned to New York to spend the whole weekend with her brothers and sisters and her mom, and Teresa would fly home that Sunday night to be at work Monday morning to open up her practice. So on Sunday night, she comes back here to the Southwest Florida International Airport. There's security footage of her rolling her suitcase through the terminal. She calls Mark, tells him she's safe, and then gets in her car and heads back to their house. The next morning, her office staff got in.
It's now 9 o'clock. Now it's 9:05. Now it's 9:15. I said, where's Doctor? I was texting back and forth trying to see if, where you at, and no response. Called, no answer. Mark's out of town. He says, I can't get a hold of her either.
How unusual was it for Dr. Sievers not to show up?
Even if it was 9 o'clock and 3 seconds after, you would hear her heels coming in.
911, what is your emergency?
I'm at a friend's house.
Mark had a friend come and check up on her.
He's out of town, and she's dead on the floor. And there's a hammer at the side, and she's bashed in the back of the head.
And do you know how many times she was hit?
17.
I came home from work, and I looked up at the television, and my heart dropped, and I thought, this is my son's house and his wife, and their 2 children, who is dead.
When you first heard how Teresa died, what did you think?
Must be some madman out there. Who was this? Where did they come from? Why would they do such a thing?
And Erin Moriarty is here to talk more about this case. Yeah, a madman. I mean, the hammer.
Your reaction when you were looking 17 times that she was hit,
yeah.
And that is, of course, a crime of violence. Usually investigators think it's got to be someone who knows her. No one does that unless they have a great deal of anger and personal.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that is initially where this case went. But as you also know, the person who would probably have the most to gain, her husband, had been upstate with her. Mm-hmm. So he had an alibi. Mm-hmm. And so this case really kind of went cold for a while.
Is that part of the reason the case was initially so difficult? Because when this murder occurred, he was miles and miles away in another state.
Right, and she wasn't the kind of person who had a lot of enemies, but in that area it was very interesting. There had been a number of holistic practitioners who have been attacked, and that was really her background as well, so they looked at that. They looked at Sandra Hoskins, the woman that you saw talking, who was a nurse and worked in the office with her because she had just served notice that she was going to leave, and her husband had left, had been kind of not fired but kind of asked to leave. So they looked at them, and then the case kind of went cold, and it would have stayed cold if there had not been which often helps officers a tip, and it led investigators 1,100 miles away.
To where?
To Missouri. And here's where the story, this is
New York, Florida, now Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay.
It happens to be that Dr. Seaver's husband is from there. But where the story really gets strange is that Dr. Seaver's husband, Mark, had friends there. One of them, one of his best friends, over this period of time has become like a doppelganger of the doctor's husband. Yes, they're not related. They look almost identical now. And of course, he has now confessed and implicated the husband. But there are some people who think the husband had nothing to do with it.
Okay. So
I know.
Then what would be the motive? I mean, I think in my mind, because I love these stories, but I think in my mind, do you follow the money? Could that have been
right?
motive?
I mean, there are usually just either anger, jealousy, or money.
Right.
And there happens to be $4 million worth of insurance policies.
That's a lot of money.
Right. The husband has not made a deal. So I think a lot of these questions will be answered when it goes on trial.
Erin Moriarty, very interesting case. Thank you so much. Erin's full report, 1,100 Miles to Murder, airs tomorrow night. You can catch it at 10, 9 Central, only on CBS.